Recording. Awesome. Awesome. This is the 20th April, special day, 20th April. If you guys know, you know, but we're in Dubai. Anyway, um, so what we're going to do is it's going to be a short little Q&A session that we're going to have. Short little Q&A session. So, any questions that you guys have, any charts that you can share, something that you've experienced this week, or especially this whole month of April. We can go over that. And also, happy MFU anniversary. We started this last year, 20th April, and now we're back over here, 20th April. So happy birthday to MFU. Awesome. Birthdays don't matter. The direction that we're going, the progression, that's what matters in the end. But okay, so I'm just gonna wait for probably something to come up, some questions, something like that. But up until that comes over, let's see if I can share this screen. All right, beautiful. The screen is being shared over here. Awesome. Okay, let's see here. All right. So I guess hopefully this coming week we can have some normal volume on gold. I mean, things have been pretty crazy with these trade tariffs and all these talks about trade wars and um the tariffs being implemented on certain countries and certain countries not being exposed to tariffs has been pretty crazy. But I'm just gonna wait for something. Okay, what's this? I'm in a learning phase so far. I want to create content on social media. Meanwhile, regarding trading, should I start? Yes. I think you should definitely start because okay, so any business that you're in, any business, consultancy, servicing, like whatever you're doing, I think it's very important to create some sort of a content because when I first started, I just started posting charts online, charts in my analysis. I just posted them online. People start to like it, they start to follow me, they start to ask questions, and that's where the whole brand of Raja Banks came into being. Just by providing free value, so much value, then when you do for an ask, no one's going to say no, it's going to be very, very difficult. You have progressed with your account, nice flipping. I start over trading when I have smaller account. Yeah, so this account for me it's a little bit different. So when I first started this account, the account was at 2,500, and what I've noticed is trading the smaller account is that my ability to hold positions longer is way easier on a small account. Looking back now, I think the main reason why is because I am so emotionally detached from the outcome that's going to come on from the small account that I'm just treating it as like a demo account, you know, because once the amount is so small, it doesn't really bother you that you're okay with letting the positions go, But when I was trading my six-figure account, which is like over $500,000, holding positions there, it gets a little bit difficult because I'm still emotionally attached with the outcome. Because if the outcome is like, $10,000, $12,000, I mean, that's a pretty big outcome, so there's still some sort of emotional attachment to that amount. I'm not gonna say it's a small amount, it's a really big amount, so no matter what people say, that I'm emotionally not attached to the outcome of the money or the outcome of the five figures or six figures floating in and out of profits, man, they're lying to you because there is a lot of emotional attachment involved when it comes to those amounts. Can I have your trading plan template, please? My trading plan template is in Market Fluidity University. That's my trading plan. But you know what I'm going to do next week? I'm going to try to write down a trading plan. I'm going to try to see if I can really explain myself in great detail about my trading plan so I can have it out there for you guys. What's the best marketing way in Instagram to get people? Best marketing way in Instagram? to get people with trading. The best marketing way in Instagram, I don't want to say there's a specific way to market. I think the best way to market is to give something which you think people shouldn't get for free. I think that's the best way. Because a lot of times, like, we do simulation sessions here with our group, but then sometimes I'll do simulation sessions with everyone on the internet. And people expect simulation sessions not to be free, but I still do them. When I do them, that creates a level of trust. You got to understand it this way. You have to treat everyone the way you want to be treated. And that's something I tell my agents as well in Dominion Markets. So the best way to market yourself is to just keep giving the kind of information which no one is giving and make it super simple. Once you make things super simple, 90% of the audience out there who may not be able to understand something complicated someone else is trying to explain, but they may understand what you're trying to explain, and they may resonate with you more than they would resonate with someone who is really complicating things. So I think that's the best way. When I lose more than I win. Amazing. Even with the risk management rules, how do I overcome this? When I lose, you lose more than you win. When you lose more than what you win, even by following the risk management rules. That means you're not following the risk management rules. If you're winning 10 pips, 15 pips, and you're losing 20 pips, where's the risk management? Where's the risk management? Like when I'm going in a drawdown, I always aim to close 50%. I always aim to lose less than what I'm trying to lose. So I don't think you're applying the risk management rules correctly. Nowadays, candle size look much bigger. Is this good idea to stick to 15-minute or 30-minute? Yes, you are correct. These days, there's been so much volume in the market, so much volatility based on the trade tariffs, and the candle sizes are bigger. I mean, if you look at the 30-minute time frames, you look at a 30-minute candle, this is a 90 pip 30-minute candle. 90 pip 30-minute candle. And if you look on the 15-minute time frames, this candle body, this is a 30 pip candle body. So as long as these trade announcements keep on happening, these trade tariff news, they keep on breaking out, we will see the same volume. And when you see this higher volume, it's always a good idea to lower down your risk, right? Lower down your lot size and go with that. I watch all the YouTube stuff and watch again and again. It helped me a lot. After that, I joined Discord community. Now I feel more confident. Navjot, thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You recommend 20 pip stops in general. Currently, we have candles with normal volatility. If I adjust my risk, does it make sense to set a 50 pip stop loss? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because if you're putting your stop loss below the previous candle, for example, if we take a look at this right over here, right? So once this candle broke above the high, you're looking at your stop loss. This is like okay, this is like a small stop loss, 24 pip stop loss. But yeah, I mean, if your stop loss based on a 30-minute time frame is 30, 40 pips, then you're lowering your risk size. You're lowering your lot size. So that's what you're doing. If your stop loss is way too big, you're lowering your lot size and then you're basing the move off of that. Because, if your stop loss is going to be 30, 40 pips, at the same time, your target is going to be like, 40, 50, 60 pips as well. Because, that's much range there is. Because if you take a look at this right here, right? So if this candle broke above the high, looking to the left hand side, you have like a 70 pip range for price to push up. And even if you have a stop loss below the previous candle, that's still a 50 pip stop loss, right? But your range is a 70 pip range, clean range. So it goes hand in hand. Wherever there is a lot of volume, whenever there's a lot of volatility and that makes the stop losses too big, that's also going to give you an opportunity to have a bigger take profit as well. Ideally, how much candle should be on M30? So what does that mean? Ideally, how much candle should be on M30? Like the size of the candle? I mean, The size or what? Pips. Oh, I don't know. Ideally it should be around, I'd say like 30 pips, 25, 30 pips. But since we have a lot of volume running in the market, so that's why you have bigger candles. Like look at this 30-minute candle. This body was 76 pips. Wow. This one over here was fucking 120 pips. Running my way, awesome. Okay, wow, long question over here. What's the parameter for running trades run? My parameter for running trades run is if I'm in profits on Monday, I'll close. If I'm Tuesday in profits, I'll close secure. But Wednesday, Thursday, I'm gonna let my trades run. Wednesday, Thursdays. Mostly. Mostly Wednesday, Thursdays, I'm gonna let my trades run because normally we see a higher volume coming in on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I see that what has the greatest impact on the growth of your account is on some specific trades you don't take 10, 15 pips. Okay, yeah, that's it. 30, 40, 50 pips because I let trades run Wednesdays, Thursdays. I've tried letting 10% of my trades run, as suggest, and it hasn't really worked for me. Okay, I've seen that there are certain trades that run more than others, so I'm asking what parameters. Okay, so Camilo, I don't let all the 10% trades run. What I'm going to do is the thing is this, right? You have to build confidence in letting trades run. Number one. Number two, there's always a probability, and that probability is something that you achieve is after you take, let's say, 40 to 50 trades. So, for example, you let, so let's say next week starts, right? Next week starts, and every time you're letting 10% trades run. Out of all those 10% trades that you're letting run, maybe, like one of them goes to 40, 50 pips at 10%. Now, when that 10% goes in 30, 40, 50 pips, it's not going to bring like a sizable return. So you're going to say, okay, bet, you know what, this week I traded like, let's say like 4 or 5 trades, then maybe one ran for like 40, 50 pips at 10%. Amazing, not a big return, but they ran. Second week, you do the same thing, right? Third week, you do the same thing. Fourth week, you do the same thing. Fifth week, you do the same thing. Now, you are acquiring confidence in letting your trades run. Because letting trades run, it requires a lot of confidence, right? It requires a lot of this belief that this will continue to run. Like, even though there are being retracements and pullbacks and all that, but you have this belief that, okay, it's gonna run. So once you have that confidence, then maybe on the sixth week, you see a setup where on the second and third week your trade ran, and now you think that, okay, I've seen this happen before. So instead of running 10%, maybe I'm going to let 50% run. Now slowly you're increasing your confidence from letting 10% run to 50, and then to 60, 70, and then 100. That's where you start to see massive changes and massive gains. Because you have to build confidence in letting trades run, in having the ability to trust your analysis, to trust the price action that you're seeing in the market structure, and to follow that along as price moves. So you have to build confidence in you to let that happen. So I think that's why you're seeing a slow progress. So I'd say it takes about 5, 6 months until you really have that confidence to letting your entire position run. I put my stop loss in previous support and aim for the next resistance. Do you think this will be good in terms of long 1% each trade? Yeah, that's fine. As long as you're using like a good time frame, like if you're using like a good zone as time frame as well. Like example, excuse me. Like example, let's say if you're using a 30-minute time frame, and in that 30-minute time frame, you're aiming for a support and a target resistance, and it does happen on 30-minute, then that's perfect. Can you summarize all the trades you have taken till now on a $2,500 account? Right now? Today? No. Is it possible to adjust stop loss based on volatility? Sure, you can move your stop loss. It's very subjective. Because the market was really volatile. Normally, my stop loss is around 15 pips, but usually 15, so I don't get out because of volatility. Yeah, Anas, we already talked about that this earlier in the webinar. Yeah, we talked about that. But I think I did do some breakdowns. They're in the database. You can go take a look at that. Yeah, I did do, I think, like 3 or 4 trade breakdowns. It's in the database now. Will market opening tomorrow? I hope so. I put my stop loss on the previous support, aim for the okay. Already spoke about that. Thanks for answering my questions. I also wanted to ask if you suggest entering 1 or 2 5-minute charts, considering. No, not 5 minutes. My kids broke something downstairs. It's either the 30 minute or the 1 hour, or maybe the 15 minute. How to build confidence in letting trades run? Already answered that. Already answered that. Okay, NRML stop loss in pips. I don't know what that means. Hello, Raja. Hey, something I've noticed from going over my losing trades is that trades when volume is normal that go over 10 pips into drawdown have a low probability of running into a winning trade. For example, a trade will go into further drawdown of 20 pips or more before it goes into 10, 15, 20 pips into profit. Therefore, very recently I've had only 10 pips stop loss again when volume is normal. Is that over managing risk? Yeah, I think having a 10 pip stop, like, is that based off of a zone? Is that based off of a 30-minute time frame, 1 hour time frame? Like, why are you having a 10 pip stop? Sir, I will start my real account on the next month with $1,000. Best way to risk 10 cent per trade. Best way to risk 10% per trade. I don't know how to answer that. I would say confidence comes from the amount of chart time you put in. That's correct. The amount of chart time. You have to put in the time. I bought the Magic Keys because I have issues to calculate the risk in a volatile because everything changes so fast. Yes. Link for the trade breakdown. That's it. Oh, 10 cent. Best way to risk 10 cent per trade. 10 cent per trade. I don't know. Just understand how much money you want to lose, how much money you want to basically risk, and then go based off of that. Then go based off of that. I mean, that's literally the best and the only way. Okay, let's do this over here. 30-minute time frame. We're creating resistance 33.29. At the same time, we have a support form. And right here, the support is 33.12. So if we break below this area, we have a very clean range where price can move into. If we break below 33.10, moving all the way down, 150 pips. How do you tackle FOMO when you had correct bias, entered once and it hit stop loss, then gave a second chance and hit stop loss again, then went just away? Yeah, like, that happened last week where I entered a trade, it got stopped out, and then I took another trade, got stopped out, and then price went in my favor. But after I already had 2 losses, I basically called it a day. Mindika is saying it is what it is. Yeah, man. I mean, that's true. It is what it is. It really is what it is. Let me move over to a different spot over here. Be more comfortable. It really is what it is, because sometimes the market is going to give you opportunities, and I mean, the perfect opportunity is not going to be there. So, one thing I always do is I give my bias chances. If I'm going to have a buying bias, I'm going to give my buying bias, 2 chances. And if those 2 chances don't work, I'm going to call it a day. I didn't explain properly. My stops have been bigger than 10 pips. Okay. It's just that I noticed that when a trade goes further 10 pips into drawdown, the probability of it turning into a profit trade is far less without going to drawdown. So what? Your stop loss is bigger than 10 pips. When a trade goes further than 10 pips in drawdown, the probability of it turning into a profitable trade is less. So if it goes in a bigger drawdown, it will not go into profit. Is that what you're saying? Without going in drawdown. Oh, so when it goes in less drawdown, the probability of it going in profit is high. Yeah. So maybe you are basically noticing something. You are noticing something. So you can manage risk at that time. Good to hear that you have the same challenges. Yes, I have the same challenges, man. Same things I go through. Take a look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Let me show you this over here. Um, I think it was this day here, ninth, or was it the? Yeah, I think it was the ninth over here. I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was this one right over here. One trade, two trade, both losses, and then I changed my bias. Are you going to do a funding challenge? I don't know if I'm going to do a funding challenge. I think I will try on Dominion funding to do a funding challenge. I think I'm going to try. By the way, guys, I'm going to leave in about 10-ish minutes. 10-ish minutes. My parents are leaving to the airport. They were here for an emergency trip. Instead of scalping, have you ever thought of swings on high time frame like 1 hour, 4 hour? And also, I'm feeling sleepy. That's true. Instead of scalping, swings. No, I have not. I have not tried the one. Well, in the beginning, I'll tell you how we used to trade, right? So in the beginning, when I first started trading, I used to focus on the 4 hour time frames. And literally what we would do is we would wait for the 4 hour time frame to come to a resistance, right? So for example, if I'm looking at this 4 hour time frame, you can see how the 4 hour candle is coming up to a 4 hour resistance. So literally, at every time a new 4 hour candle will start, back in Canada, that was like about what? 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m., 9 p.m., 1 a.m., 5 a.m., 9 a.m., 1 p.m. So these times, new 4 hour candle would start, and we would scan through all the major pairs. We would scan through, let's say, USD CAD, USD, USDJPY, GPJPY, GPUSD. We would scan across these pairs, and we would see that, okay, which currency pair, 4 hour, is tapping into a resistance. So, for example, right, this gold is tapping into a resistance. So I would take sells. Because if the 4 hour candle would go to a resistance, this means we're at a resistance level. So maybe there's a higher probability for price to reject. So I would just take sells with stop loss, like 10, 15 pips. Basically, that's where the stop loss would go. And I made some good money, made some great money. And the reason why I didn't continue to do that was because this is in the beginning when I was still a retard when it comes to was trading. Whenever price would go into drawdown, like let's say price wouldn't reject and would still continue to go up in a drawdown, I would remove my stop loss, and then I would just lose a big chunk of my account. Or like, let's say I would just move my stop loss a little bit higher because I thought price will continue. But that was the biggest reason why I kept on losing money because of my risk management, because of my hoping that price will go into my favor, and a lot of guys do this still. Let's see here. Thank you, bro. Is trading a myth or will I ever be positioned to make a living out of it? Well, it depends on you. Trust me. It all depends on you. Depends on you. Average profit per trade, 153. Average loss per trade, 110. Risk reward ratio, 1 to 1.3. I own almost 4% monthly, but I can notice I can improve by letting trades run. Yeah, man, Camilo, that's amazing. Your after profit is higher. The one thing I would like to change over here is to see how can you lower your loss? How can you further lower your loss? That's one thing I'm probably going to be maybe keeping an eye on more. How you can further lower your loss so that your risk reward looks even bigger, and work on the things I talked about getting confident in letting trades run. Give yourself 5 to 6 months and really get confident in that. If this strategy on 4 hour works, maybe you can create a high time frame strategy for members that have little to no time on charts. What do you think? Yeah, I can create that strategy, but then, I mean, you have to be really comfortable in taking the loss. Because in the beginning, in the beginning, I deposited like $700. In the beginning, I deposited $700, And in 2 weeks, by doing what I was doing, just selling at 4 hour resistances and buying in 4 hour supports, in 2 to 3 weeks, I grew that account to $5,500, you know? And then I started to lose because I would just remove my stop loss. Like the majority of the trades I was taking were at 9 a.m. New York time, were at 9 p.m. Asian time, and 5 a.m. New York time. That's when I was taking most of the trades. And I started losing was when I was starting to take trades right at market open at 5 p.m. Eastern, like just before Asian Open, was taking trades then, was taking trades at 1 p.m. Eastern after London closed when there's no volume. So it was just like, it was like I just started to lose trades at that point. And once you start to lose trades, you start to question your strategy, you start to question your own intelligence, you start to question your own ability if you can really make it. So I understand that. I've been through that. Because once you start losing over and over and over again, you really start to question that is this guy who's making money, is this even real? Or is that guy making money, is that even real? Or is this even possible? Because we just can't control our own desire to execute a trade. And we don't know, like, that may be like a 10th trade or like a 12th trade you're taking. Which car are you planning to buy? I'm not planning to buy any car now because car dealerships they want to lowball on trade trade prices, so I don't want to do that. I took my Rolls Royce to the dealership yesterday. I bought it for 1.1 million and dirhams, and the guy offered to buy it back for like 750, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna have that because I can on the market I can privately sell it for about 930, 940. So I scrapped that deal. I'm probably gonna just get a body kit on the Rolls Royce and call it a day. I mean, it's still new. It's like 2021 and 20,000 kilometers on it. 20,000 kilometers on it. 2021. I mean, 20,000 is nothing. 21,000, sorry, is nothing. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna head off. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the London session in the morning. Yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna have the London session or New York session. I'll confirm that later on in the group. Yeah, I'll confirm that later on in the group. But let me answer this last question over here. How do you overcome your fear of money? With what I earn, I feel I can buy funding challenges and taking more risks to pass them and have the capital generate more, but I feel like I'm giving too much importance to money. Yeah, I think you are. This is a conversation. So this is the last question I'm going to go over. This is a conversation I was having with a very good friend of mine yesterday, and we were literally talking about that as long as your bills are paid, you don't have to worry about the rent and you don't have to worry about the food. You are blessed in the world. If you don't have to worry about rent every month, you are doing better than 70% of the population out there. If you don't have to worry about the rent for the next month or even for the next 2 months in some cases, you're doing better. So don't focus on the money. Of course, money is important. Money is important as long as your responsibilities are taken care of. Other than that, money is not that important. It's good to have more. It's good to have like, a nest egg. It's good to have like, like a nice cushion to fall back on. But if you start to put a lot of importance on money, if you start to chase it, more is going to run away from you. So that's the advice I want to give to you. And if you really want to attract money, and this is something I did for a very long time, it's paying off now, is to have some sort of social influence. Start to get on social media, start to make videos, start to promote yourself, start to promote whatever you're doing, and you never know who's around the corner looking for something you have. You never know. And if you can find one person like that, all you got to do is to find a million people like that to make you a lot of money. That's what I focus on. Um, Thank you, brother Nagi. Thank you, Kate. U.S. bank holiday when? On Monday? Really? Who uses Bing? Dumbass Bing. Ah, yeah, it is. It's the Easter. It's Easter week, right? Oh yeah, look at that. Pound holiday, Euro holiday. Oh goddamn, long weekend. And then we open up on Tuesday. For the US, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I am not too sure. So far, we are closed. Yeah, we'll have to see. There's going to be less volume. I mean, you look at the volume we had on Friday, right? So I don't know. We'll see. It's a long holiday, like it's a long weekend, so maybe probably the market is going to be closed. But anyway, take care, guys. We'll see you guys. I mean, if there's no stream on Monday, sure, no stream. We're just going to see you on Tuesday then. Take care, everyone. Would you ever do Asian session? Very tough for me to do Asian session. Asian session for me is early in the morning. Early in the morning. If I can't wake up for the gym early in the morning, I'm not doing a live stream. And I love going to the gym. But anyway, take care. Thank you.